WVUA-FM, Tuscaloosa.
Hello and welcome to a little bit of an abridged version of Game Day here. Garrett Franks alongside Will Miller. Will, how are we doing this morning?
Sorry I'm late. Still feeling good this morning. It's Saturday, which you can never really go wrong with that. And so I'm just excited for the weekend.
I mean, I have to ask because obviously, you know, you're wearing your Braves hat. I have to ask because I watched a little bit last time, and I'm not a big baseball guy. But how did you feel about that Phillies game last night? Just real quick before we get into the football stuff. Rodon looked incredible. I believe I'm saying Justin Rodon, the catcher for the Phillies. I don't know if I'm saying his name right.
Well, I thought that I want to focus on just what the Astros did to choke that 5-0 lead, because the Astros, you probably are familiar with the fact the Astros are known cheaters.
Yeah.
And so to watch them do that last night was fantastic. I thought that the Phillies just showed a lot of resiliency. JT Realmuto, the Philly catcher, is the best catcher in baseball offensively. And so a lot of fans like to say that catcher is just a position that any offense you get is bonus. And JT is an all-star hitter. So my thought was it didn't surprise me to see him get in on the fun. Bryce Harper and Rhys Hoskins have kind of been doing it all from the hit and home run standpoint. But I would just say overall seeing a group of known cheaters who tend to fatigue baseball fans by being in the World Series every year, losing by choking a 5-0 lead was satisfying to see.
Well, I have to ask, you know, you talk a lot of baseball. What's your time again? What day do you go on student section to where people can hear you talk with our other members of our station? Yeah,
myself, Luke, and Carson are on student section at 7 to 8 p.m. on Wednesday nights.
Awesome. Yeah. Once again, tune in for that. And then once baseball season ends, that will switch over to something else, which we need to probably talk about. But anyways, we're going to get into a little bit of coach speak here, switching it up on you, Will. We're not going to go around the games of the nation. We'll go to coach speak first. And I kind of want to talk about a situation that's been on my heart as of late. So Iowa obviously has been just sickos football content. It's just been awful, awful football. But I kind of want to talk about something Kirk Ferentz said in the post-game presser. And as a student journalist, as someone who's studying journalism, it irked me. It irked me, and it's something that I think usually fans rally around a coach when they do this, but I think I'm seeing the opposite effect here, to where it just kind of came off as mean. So what am I talking about? So obviously Iowa's not had a great season, and that especially being Kirk Ferentz, the head coach. His son is the offense coordinator. Well, after they had their little midweek presser, Wednesday or Thursday, and he came up there and was complaining about how the team was getting covered. He was saying, he walked up there and talked about how proud he was, how his guys handled the media, and how at times it felt like he was being interrogated up on the stand, which is just funny to me. When you make that much money, I don't think you can really be interrogated. But anyway,
your job security is rock solid.
Yeah, and he was just complaining about that. But anyway, one thing that he said was, he was like, I look at my life and I'm happy, and I could be the other guy. I could be that other person, do what he does. Basically degrading journalists and saying that he's not a happy person and he just lives this miserable life because he's a journalist. Will, I just need to get your thoughts because I'm sure you've seen it. I'm sure you've seen the blowback. Fans aren't happy with it. I want to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, being a journalist myself, I like my work. My job treats me better than I think a lot of jobs treat people, and I'm happy in it. I enjoy my work. And I'm sure not everybody is. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think that for Kirk Ferentz to try to deflect questions off and act like the other person is just a miserable, sad person, I don't know. Ad hominem is not the correct term, but it just kind of feels like something like that. And it feels like he's just trying to deflect and defend himself in bad ways.
No, yeah, I totally agree. It just is a bad look. And I was listening to Bruce Feldman of The Athletic and Fox Sports, and he was talking, what's the more likely case at this point right now? And we'll get into A&M in a bit because some other stuff happened this week with A&M. But what happens first? Does Kirk Ferentz get a new offense coordinator, or does Jimbo give up play calling first?
Jimbo will give up play calling first. Kirk will not drop his son. Yeah. I think he would honestly sooner get fired from the job at Iowa than drop his son as offensive coordinator.
See, I don't see him getting fired at Iowa, though. He's been there for what? Just as long as Saban's been at Bama. I don't.
No, longer.
Longer? It's been like nearly 20 years.
It's been since 1999.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's
20 plus years. That's a lot of years.
Basically 25 years by now that he's been the coach.
I mean, our entire lives, being a 21-year-old, you being, I believe,
I'm
19.
20.
20, yeah.
I turned 20 on Tennessee game day.
Oh, I'm sorry. But no, anyway.
Me too.
But you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
a guy who's been there our entire life. College football has changed a lot since the day we were born. It's changed a lot. And I think these old guys, I've always liked Kirk Ferentz, honestly. You know, he's always just, in my opinion, just been a solid to good head coach. Nothing elite, but nothing bad. But man, just like, that's a bad look. And usually like that, when like coaches go after media, you see with Saban, like it feels like the coach's approval goes up all the way. Like coaches love it, you know, and the whole rat poison stuff came out. Fans loved that stuff.
That's
but
you're getting different context.
Yeah, you're getting a different response though. And maybe because these Iowa fans are kind of like, oh my gosh, we're tired of our offense, you know, only producing 100 yards a game.
I'd be tired of it too. I mean, it's a fair gripe that the fans have to have an offense that just appears inept. I mean, there's no nicer way to put that.
Yeah.
And that has struggled against any opponent, you name them, from, you know, being Ohio State, which is obviously one of the best teams in the country, all the way down to South Dakota State in the FCS. Although they could probably be an FBS school with all these new changes.
Yeah, all these
around,
new changes. Yeah.
Then to an FCS team, and so to know that the one thing they're consistent at is sputtering. I mean, I'm sure that'd be frustrating.
A stat I love to see: they average a whole yard less per play than the closest team in the Big Ten.
Who is the other team?
I believe it's Northwestern. I could be wrong. I don't have
not Wisconsin.
Or I think it's Wisconsin. Actually.
I would have thought it was Wisconsin.
I think it's
That's why my brain
Wisconsin.
went there.
I was about to say Illinois, but Illinois has actually been pretty solid this year. I believe they're winning the Big Ten West right now. So I mean, good for Illinois there, or the East. I can't remember which ones they're in. The Big Ten's a weird one. I can't wait.
I think it was Wisconsin.
I will say I'm very happy that all these conference divisions are going away, because like, can you really tell me who's in the ACC Coastal right now?
I mean, Clemson is a coastal team, I believe.
Clemson.
Are they in the coast? I think they're in the coast.
Exactly. See, like I feel like the SEC.
Oh, and Boston College is in the coastal.
Boston College, noted coastal team, Boston College. But
Chestnut Hill, stand up.
Chestnut Hill. Yeah, but another situation, and it seems like coaches and media have just been having a rough week this week together.
Oh yeah.
Well, we need to talk about the Jimbo situation. I'm sure you've been I'm sure you've heard about what happened.
Yep.
For those who at home who have not heard what happened, they're going to be the SEC Network game of the week, basically, where they play Ole Miss, and it's going to be the 7 o'clock kick. It's going to be a really good game.
Tickets are $2.
Tickets are $2, yeah. That may be honestly our Sicko's game of the week. But no, they're only $2. And so you should, if you're in the area, definitely go to watch, I don't know if high-level SEC, if we want to call that, just SEC football, I guess. But anyway, he had a talk. He usually, you know, when you go there, you do a production meeting with the play-by-play guy, and that being Tom Hart, Cole Kubelik, and Aaron Rodgers' little brother, Jordan Rodgers, exactly, Mr. Bachelor himself.
Mr. Mark Barron took his head off.
Yes. Oh gosh. If you know, you know. But basically, like, it's always like coaches always go, and like sometimes the schedule gets adjusted, but like coaches always do it. Like, I've never heard of a situation where they don't do it. Jimbo canceled on him this week. And Jimbo's agent, Jimmy Sexton, is currently in town. So a lot of moving pieces, and Tom Hart just went on like Feinbaum the other day and roasted him for missing it. He's like, I've never in my 20 plus years of doing broadcasting have seen this. Like, what do we think's going on, Jimbo? What do you think? I mean, obviously you've seen that they're suspending like a good amount of the freshmen this year for the whole season because of, you know, some issues with drug paraphernalia. Allegedly, yes. We have to preface it with allegedly.
Yeah. We at 90.7 FM, we do not know the details.
Yeah, obviously, because we're staying liable proof because we were saying allegedly, and but for real, but honestly, like, you know, what's the problem with Jimbo? You know, it seemed like this was a year full of promise, and then it sputtered out of control pretty quickly.
Well, it's simple to me. I think the proposition is this: the wheels are coming off. I think that you can buy recruits all you want, but you can't buy things like intangibles. You can't buy things like team chemistry. You can't buy things like discipline. You know, even football IQ on some level. I just think that Jimbo has failed to account for certain deficiencies in his program that are now rearing their ugly heads and being detrimental to this team in key ways that impact their ability to win or not win on the field.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I mean, you know, I think we're kind of realizing how heavy the quarterback position is in college football, and they don't have a quarterback. They have weapons all around. Like, I mean, we saw that in person. Evan Stewart, I mean, my goodness gracious, like he's one of those players you look at and you're like, okay, in 2 years you're about to be a millionaire from the NFL. Like you're about to have generational wealth. But man, like Hayes King, he's bad. Like he is just not a good quarterback.
And he's won the job. Let's contextualize this for our listeners, Garrett. Hayes King, who all Alabama fans got the chance to see showcased either on TV or at Bryant-Denny Stadium October 8th, has won the Texas A&M starting job 2 years in a row. He also won it last year. Let's remember, Zach Calzada was the backup, and Haynes got hurt.
Yeah.
So this is a guy that has won that competition 2 seasons in a row. He's been the A&M starting quarterback coming out of fall camp. So, I mean, it's not like they have better.
Yeah. I mean, it's about to be I'm about to sound like the most Ari Wasserman take ever, but like at this point, why don't you just throw the 5-star freshman out there and just let him learn? Like I think his name is Kyle Widener or whatever. Or
that's it. I will look that up.
It's regardless. He's a yeah. I mean, it's Connor something. But anyway, why don't you just throw the freshman out there and let him cook and figure it out? You know. Like I just
Connor Weigman.
Weigman, yes, the 5-star number 15 on their team. I mean, I don't understand why you don't let him go out there and just at least attempt a pass or two. Like, put him out there, let him go through a few drives. Because why not? I mean, I feel like we don't think Jimbo's gonna get fired. I don't think anyone in their right mind. I mean, the buyout's at what is it, $86 million now?
85.
Oh, it went down today. Okay, good. Thank goodness. But no, like.
That's to save A&M's butt. They got that $1 million if they exit the buyout lowered, and now they're comfortable enough to get rid of him.
We don't think he'll get fired. We don't. We both agree on that, correct?
Yeah, I don't think there's any chance they fire him just because the sheer money involved. I see their ceiling as a 7-6 right now, and obviously they're not happy with that. But I still don't think that'll get him fired.
What does it take for him to get fired, though? Or do you think there's just nothing because of the price, or do you think they like
the answers I could say are not appropriate for radio? It would have to be severe. We'll call it severe personal misconduct.
Yeah, that's
in order to get.
Well, at that
fired
point, it's for
year.
cause, and they wouldn't have to pay any of that buyout
unless my agent was good enough at diluting evidence.
Yes, or by the way, if you didn't know, Will Miller put his name into the running for the Mountain West Conference Commissioner. They declined him, but he has not declined yet.
No.
He has not accepted the no from the application.
Yeah, I really want to be the Mountain West commissioner, guys. I'm focused. My goals are clear. We're going to turn San Diego State basketball into a powerhouse. The world is not ready.
The world's not ready.
No. And we are also going to expand the Boise State Stadium because more people deserve to see that blue turf in person.
Even though they're pretty terrible football this year.
Yeah, hire Mark Helfrich.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Mark Helfrich.
Yeah.
Isn't he still in the NFL?
He's an analyst right now.
Analyst? Oh, gosh.
He was with the Bears. I believe it was the Bears for a minute.
He was with the Bears for a bit.
But he's not there. He's now on Fox or somebody, I believe.
Mark Helfrich, goodness gracious.
The
college football playoff winning head coach Mark Helfrich. Do you think he has that in his LinkedIn bio?
Honestly, I would. I mean, why wouldn't you, right?
Yeah.
You need to, I mean, look, the early 2010s kid in me needs to see him coach again.
I mean, like, it's funny if like these coaches have like LinkedIn's. I like to think like Scott Frost still has like all of his UCF stuff in there.
Yeah.
I like to think
2017 national champion.
Yeah, 2017, and like a guy like Mike Price would have like all of his like Washington State stuff. No mention of there's just a few year gap.
Ryan Leaf almost got the last playoff in the Rose Bowl.
Almost did, yeah. Goodness gracious.
And then turned into one of the biggest busts in the history of professional football.
But an excellent person who is...
Oh, that's true.
Who is awesome.
I give all the credit in the world to Ryan Leaf for the way that he's changed his trajectory around and taken initiative to better himself.
Yeah.
This is something we can all learn from. With that being said, his time in the NFL was still not glamorous.
Not at all. But one more thing about Coach Speak and the Coach Speak segment before we had to break. Brian, once again, Coach is just not making themselves fans with the media. Brian Harsin has allegedly, it was reported by SI, has allegedly not letting players redshirt. And he's basically saying either play or you leave. And so this week they've had 3 players leave. Their 2021 class, actually, they're the first class they brought in under Harsin. Well, actually, it was like the year he got hired. It was really kind of Malzahn recruiting him. Over 11 of their 18 players have already left. So I want to get your thoughts on, is this redshirt rule from Harsin Do you think other schools are doing it and they're just being more quiet about it, and the reason why it's being publicized because it's Brian Harsin? Or do you think this is actually, do you think it's wrong and Harsin is in the wrong for this?
I think the wheels were off in February for this Auburn program. We talked about the wheels being off in Aggie land, but I think that Brian Harsin, honestly, is just trying to make a last stand, try to insert his definitive mark into this program before they fire him, because it has more or less been written since the offseason that this is it for him at Auburn, and he's going to get fired. Stuff like this getting reported on obviously doesn't help him, but I don't really think it changes anything. He is on the hottest seat in college football. The fact of the matter is, I think he knows it. He's not stupid. Mm-hmm. And he was a heck of a coach at Boise State for a lot of years. And I think this is just him trying to make a stand and say that, I am the guy. I definitively am going to say what's what in this football program. I don't agree with the rule. I don't agree with what he's made them do. And I think he's in the wrong for it. But I'm at a point where I just think that this is a guy who's kind of a lame duck is the term. And, just kind of wants to do something definitive. And I don't like that he's doing that, but I am sure he's in one of the most unenviable positions that you could think of for the past, 8 months since February when they started spreading that around. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And tried to fire him then. And just knowing that the boosters, the administrators, many of those whose opinions matter are out to get you, that's not going to lead to good outcomes when you're setting what's what for the program.
Yeah. And one little thing of note, yesterday, Liberty just extended Hugh Freeze. So that takes, I think the buyout's not something crazy like $40 million. Auburn's not paying that. So now I wonder who Auburn shifts to when they search for. I think I have made it clear who I think Auburn should hire.
Who would that be?
Mr. Swack himself, Deion Sanders. And I know you have some very strong opinions against that.
Well, I like Deion Sanders, and I believe that the things he's done for his program, not just the team, but the culture at Jackson State and the recognition of them, the recognition of HBCUs nationwide has been fantastic for collegiate sports, fantastic for recruiting, fantastic for the culture, whatever you want to say. It's been nothing but a positive, and I love the fit that Deion has been at Jackson State for those reasons and other reasons. Mm-hmm. But I just don't know if his coaching will translate to the SEC. You're transitioning from the FCS to the best league in football, and there's going to be a lot of questions about whether he can hold his own. And I would rather see Deion move, if he wanted to go to the SEC eventually, maybe move up to a group of 5 team or something. I don't really know what that does for his career, but if he wanted to take the route, maybe move to a group of 5 or something, coach, see how that goes, see how it is kind of recruiting. He's already a great recruiter, and I think he's still going to be a great recruiter, but see how it is recruiting in other places. And then obviously coach, obviously have more challenging schedules, then see where you stand and if you still want to take that leap. Yeah,
I genuinely, and I know you vehemently disagree with this, I think he wins the championship within his first 4 years of wherever he goes. I think his coaching doesn't necessarily matter. His X's and O's doesn't matter as much as his recruiting, because the thing is, college football is all about recruiting. That is the lifeblood. As someone who worked in recruiting for 2 years in college,
this is why Lane Kiffin gets paid the big bucks.
Yes, because he's a heck of a recruiter. He's good at selling. He's good at selling the family, selling the living room. I'll tell you this: you can disagree with this, but I know this for a fact. There is, well, not fact, but a pretty good hunch that there's only one coach that Nick Saban would stay up at night thinking about playing in his state, coaching his stuff is in the state of him.
Is it Deion Sanders?
Is Deion Sanders? That's the only guy that could really out recruit Saban, in my opinion. Maybe Kirby. That's different.
No, I think that Deion Sanders could. If there were no money in it, Deion Sanders would almost certainly out recruit everybody.
Yeah.
And I think
the thing is, Auburn will put the resources behind them. They have the largest booster in America, and not America, but in the state of Alabama, the largest public university booster is Auburn's booster, Jimmy Rain, Yellowwood himself. So definitely something to think about. When we return, though, we're going to get around the games around the nation: Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame, Syracuse, Oklahoma, Kansas State. So many more games. Keep you here live on Gameday.
WVUA-FM, Tuscaloosa.
Welcome you back to Gameday, our last segment of the day here, and just as Brighton scores for the third time today is 3-0 over Chelsea. Sorry, had that one playing in the background.
Chelsea, you suck.
Yeah, get Pulisic out of there. But anyway, we have a lot of good games on today. We have to start off with kind of the prime time game, the big noon kickoff of the day. Ohio State.
Should we apologize to Morin Sola for trashing her team?
Yes, we should. Sorry, Morin Sola. When you eventually listen to this, we apologize. We love Graham Potter. Anyway, Ohio State at Penn State, 11 o'clock on Fox. This is a game where I'm interested to hear what you think about this. I don't know if it's a wideout necessarily. It's 11 o'clock kick, but that's gonna be a ruckus cloud. State College gets pretty loud. What do you kind of think about this game?
Well, I think if there's one team in Power 5 football that has another Power 5 team's number, I think it's Ohio State on Penn State. Mm-hmm. I think if you look back at that 2017 game, which was when Ohio State came back from like a 18-point or 20-point deficit over Penn State, who was number 2 in the country at the time, and took revenge on the previous year's upset. From then on, I don't think Penn State has beaten them. And I also remember 2019, the infamous halfback draw on 4th and 5. I know a certain small-town Alabama offensive coordinator who would call that play. But second off, I just think that Penn State is on a different level than Ohio State. And while their crowd is great, I don't think the team matches up this year or any other year that I have seen since they beat them in 2016. 2017, I thought, was the best shot, and Penn State wound up losing that. So I think that the crowd's efforts are going to be great. I think it's still one of the best atmospheres in the sport and will continue to be for big games for the foreseeable future. But I still think Ohio State's going to convincingly win the thing.
Do you know what the cheapest ticket to this game is?
Am I going to guess?
Yeah, guess.
Get in is, I'm going to guess $180.
$29.
Oh.
Yeah, a 50-yard line seat is $41 right now for that game. So I don't know.
Maybe the kick time.
Yeah, the kick time is 11. I mean, okay, I disagree with people saying kick times like I don't know. Like I'm really frustrated with this idea that the 11 a.m. slot is a bad slot. Because like we've seen some of those like Bama versus like Southern Miss, those are sleepy games. Yeah, sure. But like you can't tell me Texas versus Alabama at 11 a.m. was a sleepy game. That was one of the loudest crowds this season, probably second behind Tennessee, honestly, versus Alabama. I mean, you can't. I don't know. I don't like this idea that fans don't get up for games like this at 11 a.m. because they do.
I think they do if it's a big game, and I think this crowd totally will. I don't think there's any doubt in that. It feels to me like it's still going to be one of the raucous environments that people come to expect from what is a rivalry. I think that this is, even though, like I said, Ohio State's won the last several meetings, I don't think that takes away any of the Penn State, I want to beat you, and I want to beat the snot out of you. And that, which, to be fair, who doesn't feel that way about Ohio State?
They are not really well loved.
And honestly, when I first got into football, I used to really like them. And then I actually what started the downturn was when they beat us in the Sugar Bowl. Because I thought TCU got hosed from a playoff spot in 2014. I still think that TCU team wins the title if they play in the playoff that year. I really do.
I love that take. I don't necessarily agree with you but I think they make things interesting. I think they're more. I think they're, if you, let's say, replace, Florida State has to make it because of their schedule that year.
And they were undefeated. Well, they beat every team by like 3 points.
I love that we're discussing the 2014 playoffs here because this is something I am passionate about. I do think that Tennessee team, or that TCU team, makes the championship. I don't know if they win because I think that Ohio State team was just so talented. But man,
under this situation, I'm proposing Ohio State doesn't.
Isn't Quentin Johnson? It was
Trayvon Boykin.
Boykin, yes.
And I think that as good as the Alabama team was that year, I don't think that secondary stops him from hitting Colby Listenby for like 3 or 4 touchdowns. I really don't.
Boykin was that type of guy that was like...
Or Josh Doxson.
Oh, yeah. Boykin was that type of guy and pulling up... And no, I got a 404 error from ESPN not showing me the stats, which totally just biased against... Okay, Sports Reference... they only lost one game. It was at Baylor, number 5 Baylor.
61-58.
61-58, yeah. Once again, I love that we're talking about this because it's just This is hilarious.
I just think they didn't put TCU in because they didn't put Baylor in, and it's like, well, TCU and Baylor are both 11-1. They're co-Big 12 champions because back then they didn't have a conference title game for whatever reason, and so
yeah, Josh Dotson had over 1,000 yards receiving. Colby Listerbean had 753. Gosh, yeah, no, that team.
So fast.
I think that team beats Bama. I mean, because Bama was still struggling with quarterbacks like that. I mean, look at that season with
our number one quarterback,
Nick
was
Marshall,
Bradley Silv.
Yeah,
I mean, look, I
Bradley,
love Bradley Silv. I really do. I like the guy. He picked the pass off in the Iron Bowl. I don't even care that they called was Auburn's possession. I love the guy, but I mean, he'd been hurt. And are you really going to expect somebody hurt to cover Josh Dotson or Colby Listenby? I mean,
no.
I would. You'd have to double both of them.
Goodness gracious, no. But reeling it back into today's matchup, do we think this game's? I think this game's close going into the fourth. I'm not saying that Penn State wins, but I think it's close.
I don't think so.
Penn State has one of the best front seven in college football that no one really talks about, and I think with losing Jackson Smith and Jigba, at least for the foreseeable future, I mean, you still replace him with guys like Julian Philman and Marvin Harrison Jr. I think it's gonna be close. I think it's gonna be within a single point, within like a 1-digit score. So like they're down by 7 going into the fourth type deal. But I think Ohio State wins. I think they pull out and win by like 10 plus ish.
I think it'll be a competitive first half. I think the real statement Penn State can make is going to be in the third quarter coming out of the locker room. Mm-hmm. That's going to decide whether this game's competitive or not. And I don't think it will be. I think it'll probably be like a 7-point game at the half. Mm-hmm. But by the end of the third quarter, it'll probably be a 14 or 20-point game.
Interesting.
And
it's all dependent on which Sean Clifford shows up. If it's a Sean Clifford against Auburn, then like
Penn State might have a shot to win the game, given it's their home field.
But man, it just depends a lot on that. So next game we have to talk about Arkansas Auburn, 11 o'clock on the SEC Network. We've obviously sung the woes of Auburn pretty highly this morning, but I think this is a bounce back game for Auburn. I'm not very high on this Arkansas team right now. I don't think KJ Jefferson's playing. I don't know if that's been announced yet. I've looked around.
If he doesn't play, they lose.
Yeah, the thing is, if
they have not looked good without him, I think they kind of are lost without KJ Jefferson, which, I mean, who wouldn't be? Because that's a great player. But
I think he is returning today, or he will be playing. I'm not sure if he played against BYU. I sadly was not able to watch the. Justin. Okay, KJ
he
Jefferson
did play against BYU.
Yeah, I mean, he played incredible. Almost 400 yards for 5 touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, he's an absolute game changer. Now that makes me change my opinion a little. Okay, I'm gonna still give it to Auburn. I still think Auburn bounces back here.
It's in Auburn, right?
It's at Jordan-Hare. It's an 11 a.m. kick. Apparently, rumor is, and I know we have our friend of the show, Caden Johnson, is going to be down there for this game, so I'm sure we'll get updates from that. Yeah, and there's rumors of fans booing the team as they run out, which
I can actually
the family I thought would never turn on their players.
I can actually tell you that has happened.
That has already happened.
That has happened.
Is it mostly from just the student section? I assume.
I think it's just usually, yeah. I think it's generally just discontentment from.
Because I know they're doing a Navy out, which looks kind of stupid on TV. But then again, I'm not deciding that. But all right, I got Auburn winning. I think Auburn has somewhat of a bounce back game. I always think they steal one game a year where they shouldn't, and I think this may be the game.
Ole Miss 2014.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, it took a Laquan Treadwell just shattered ankle fumble for that to happen. Do you remember that?
Like it was yesterday.
I remember watching that, and my dad and I were celebrating, and then we look like.
And it was the correct call. He fumbled.
No, it was the right call, but it was just like I think that game brought tears to my eyes. I was so angry as a little 13,
you got
14
Chris Frost celebrating like he just won a Super Bowl.
Oh my God. And then that was Bo Wallace's year. I think that was Bo Wallace's last year there. And I remember Alabama fans have a very strong discontentment for Bo Wallace. But anyway, yeah, I have Auburn winning. I think
you got to admire how he showed up in the big games, though.
He did, yeah.
Except the Peach Bowl.
He did not show up in the Peach Bowl. I think I have Auburn winning this like an ugly, I think 21 to 17 type game. I just think it's gonna be ugly football.
I could see another Missouri game out of this. Now the only difference is KJ is not the worst quarterback in the SEC.
I don't think Robbie is either, though.
No disrespect to Missouri, but
yeah, whoever they tried out there is pretty terrible.
Down there,
Spencer Rattler is down there too. It's funny because SC's pretty good this year, and Spencer Rattler's just awful.
They're 5-2 and ranked.
Haynes King's is down there as well.
Beamer ball.
Dude, Beamer Ball is real. I don't care what anyone says. Beamer Ball is 100% real, and they just win games like by the stupidest ways. But you know what? They win, and my friend poses to me. Yes, my friend posed the 0-0 like type.
Yeah.
It took a second.
I'm glad you understood that.
Me and my friend were talking about this, and do you think if Shane Beamer is offered the Auburn job, does he take that?
No, I absolutely.
Are Auburn
would
fans
not.
happy if he takes it? That's they wouldn't be. I
think some will be. But it depends how they finish this
Some
season
were happy
out.
when they hired Harsin.
If you're Shane Beamer and you're more or less college football royalty, I don't know why you'd want to interject yourself into a culture like the one at Auburn where the boosters call all the shots and you're constantly having a target on your back, especially because you're going to succeed Brian Harsin. You got to remember, whoever the next coach for Auburn is, are there in an unenviable position because they have to succeed whatever this disaster is that's going on right now.
No, yeah, I agree. I don't know. It's going to be hard to find anyone. Apparently, just breaking news now, Auburn is wearing orange face masks, so, I mean, they can't lose at this point. But anyway, I wonder if Beamer would actually be good there. I don't know. I don't know. I think Beamer's a really good coach. I just think I wouldn't be shocked if he stays at South Carolina for the rest of his career. I mean, his kids were born there, raised there. You know, I just don't see him leaving. But yeah, I don't know. What's your prediction for this game again? Sorry.
I believe that because Arkansas has KJ, they will win, but it'll be a single-digit margin.
Interesting. I don't know. I have a feeling that Robbie Ashford's just going to pull something out, and it's just going to be kind of like once again, just an ugly football game.
Is it going to be an Auburn football game, Garrett? Is it going to be an Auburn football game?
I think so. I think it's going to be an Auburn football game. You know what's funny? I was looking down Auburn's schedule, and I was like, okay, let's like predict the rest of the year, and I'm predicting it, and I was like, okay, like I was struggling to find some wins. And the one win I had, which I really still don't agree with, Western Kentucky, which I think Western Kentucky could go into Jordan-Hare and actually like make it a game. I think they would make it like a really interesting game because they'll throw it. They will throw it 60 times a game, but they may only complete 10.
I mean,
of those
they
passes.
got Bailey Zappi into the NFL doing that.
Dude, yeah, Bailey. Dude.
They couldn't help Bailey once the lights got bright, but they got him there.
Oh no, not the Bailey Zappi slander. Anyway, moving on. Oklahoma State at Kansas State. This game is This game is going to be 2:30 on Fox. It's a game that I'm really interested in because
I see an upset.
I see an upset too. Well, it depends on who starts at quarterback here because Adrian Martinez, who's actually played an incredible season this far, I don't think he has one pick. He's a game-time decision. If he plays, then I think
That
Ohio
means he plays.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. I have Kansas State winning in a thriller. I think this could be like a 44-40 type game. Crazy.
Kansas State's got to get their one yearly win over a top team.
Yeah, they did it. They did it against Texas. I mean, what's up? Or did they do it against Texas? No, they haven't even played Texas. Never mind. I don't know what I was thinking. They lost TCU last week. That's what I'm thinking. They lost to Tulane and TCU, but they've beaten Oklahoma.
Tulane is ranked.
That is still? No, they are not ranked anymore. No.
Oh, I guess they lost last week then.
Yeah, Tulane is not ranked right now.
They were last week.
So no, they are actually. They are 23rd.
Oh, okay.
So fear the green wave.
I mean, I guess if a loss to a group of 5 team can age, that's how it does.
I mean, it aged well, I guess. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's just. But yeah, I think we're on the same page there about that game. Another game I'm really interested in: Georgia, Florida, the world's largest cocktail party, 2:30 on CBS. This game, it feels like every year there's just something that happens in this game that's just you can't predict.
In 2014, I know we have harped on that 2014
Great
season.
Football season, by the way.
A very bad Florida team absolutely whacked an SEC East winning hopeful Georgia team by 18 points.
They did,
that Florida team was 6-6 headed into bowl season.
That was a really bad. I think that was was that Muschamps last year?
Believe so.
Yeah. So. What a guy! Yeah, I've always been a fan of Muschamp, not because he's a good coach, because he's just hilarious.
He's a meme.
He is a meme. But no, I think this could be one of those games that goes sideways early on, and just something weird happens and it throws the rest of the game off, and it's like a weird fumble or a Stetson Bennett pick that just, or a Anthony Richardson masterclass of a play, and then a fumble in the next play.
Maybe Anthony throws 300-something yards and 3 touchdowns, and he has his moment where everybody thinks he could be a Heisman candidate.
I'm still thinking about that jump pass, that fake little pass spin thing he did against Utah. But anyway, I agree. I think Georgia wins this. I think it's gonna be like a 38-24 type game. Once again, a game that fans get frustrated about, but I think end up, they win. So who really matters,
I think Georgia's going to win the game. It'll be a 10-point game. I'm going to go 30-20.
30-20. I like that. Yeah, sounds about right. And my personal game of the week, Kentucky at Tennessee. Tennessee's wearing those beautiful black jerseys. There's jokes that they were going to black off the stadium. I don't think that's going to happen. But on ESPN at 6 o'clock, I next week Tennessee plays Georgia, and that's obviously like outside of Alabama. That's one of the biggest games of the year for them. Do we see them kind of overlooking Kentucky? Because Will Levis is playing. He will be returning for this.
Yes, that could happen. That could 100% happen.
Well, I do think it's going to happen. They still have Jalen Hyatt. They have Cedric Tillman coming back. They still have an excellent running back.
They're going to overlook him, though. That's what I'm saying.
Do we think it's an overlook enough to lose?
Depends how Hyatt plays, and if Tillman is really coming back, I would say no.
Exactly. That's my thing. I just this team is so talented, and it's so funny. Like I was reading somewhere, there's only been one team in the past, ever since like recruiting rankings have been created back like the 2001. There's only been one team that has never been who wasn't in the top 10 in terms of like composite rankings of the team class to win a championship. Can you tell me that team?
I'm sure it's this year's team with Tennessee.
No, 2010 Auburn. 2010 Auburn.
Oh.
Because that team just wasn't really that talented.
I mean, Tennessee could win it this year.
Tennessee is ranked 19th, and they would be the lowest ranked or the highest ranked, or I guess, lowest ranked team ever to win a national championship if they were to win. I'm not predicting that now it's going to happen, but yeah, no. I think Tennessee does overlook them a little bit, but I still think they put up 45 points to where it really doesn't necessarily matter.
My actual game of the week, not sickos, is Penn State and Ohio State. I just love watching that game. Mm-hmm. I want to convince myself that Penn State has a fighting chance, but I have not convinced myself of that this time. But it's still exciting for me to see that game, see that matchup, and hopefully it's a good one no matter who wins. I obviously don't have much stake in it, but I'm just excited to see what goes down. There's always some dubious stuff that happens in the game, and so I'm just ready for it.
Before we leave, A&M, Ole Miss, real quick, score.
Let's see. Ole Miss 42, A&M 17.
All right. Around the same here. Michigan State at Michigan.
Michigan is going to win. Score, let's see, 24 to, you know what, I'll say it's close, 17.
Interesting there. That's interesting. Mel Tucker's not had a great year. I have Michigan winning that one, and then I also have Ole Miss winning. But I have A&M keeping it close. I have A&M keeping it close to the most expect. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to our abridged version of Game Day. Will, thank you so much for joining me. Where can we find you?
Instagram and Twitter is @RealWVMiller, and as we mentioned, you can catch me here Wednesday nights, 7 to 8 p.m.
Awesome. I'm Garrett _Franks on Twitter. Follow me there. And yeah, keep it here live on Game Day.